All right. In earlier interviews, I was talking about a place I worked at in the 80s called Spellbound, and we really didn't touch on everything. Since then, I've dug and dug through all my archives. I have lots of archives. When you're a DJ, you have a lot of archives at your house. So I've dug up some things on video, and hopefully we'll get to show some of those. And so Spellbound was a place out on Covington Highway. It was a bizarre place to put a nightclub. If you go out there now, the building is still there. People have spray painted all over it. It's got barbed wire around it. It's just a bizarre sight to see. And it was, I think, a grocery store before it became Spellbound. It was called Shenanigans right before Spellbound. These Japanese guys put millions of dollars into this place. I don't know why. And then it became, I think, Neon Dion's and Mama's Country Showcase. I don't know what the order was, but I know there's people out there that know it. But I only worked there in '86, and so this footage that I have is from then. Now we had a general manager named Brian Rulo, who I still stay in contact with on Facebook, and he's still alive. He's very much alive. He's probably in his 70s, or he could be almost 80 for all I know, but he's still a thriving guy. And he was our general manager, and he had come from a Limelight, which was Atlanta's version of Studio 54 back in the 70s. And he had came from there, so he brought all those lights. I guess they were changing to a different concept, different club. The Limelight had closed. They were going to reopen as another place. And he had the connection to buy all the lighting there. So when I got to Spellbound, they had that aluminum dance floor, just like the Limelight had. And they had all these neon baskets, and you'll see these in the videos, that you could touch with something they used to call meteor lights. And you had little metal pieces that you'd touch with your fingers, and it would activate different lights that you had wired to them. So you could play neon on those baskets with your fingers if you wanted to the impact points of the song. That was part of the dynamics. And then we had snow, and you'll see the snow that's already it's plastic snow, of course. And you'd see the snow on the dance floor where people had still dancing around it and stuff. And but that dance floor, at being aluminum, was very slippery and very slick. Now you'd never get away with that. The lawyers would have to be involved immediately. There wouldn't be enough insurance. Nobody would insure you if somebody got hurt. Mm-hmm. But it was a very slick surface, and we had hydraulic stairs that would come out that would take you up to the stage.
Wow!
And the stage, in most of these videos, I've got the thing closed, but you can see the partition. It was a circular partition, so there's a revolving dance floor there, and I guess a lot of people stepped on the part that wasn't moving and hurt themselves, and so they had me close it most of the time. But maybe I can find some footage of it open, and you can see it. When they first built it, it had parachute that would come down on you.
Oh, wow.
A big, giant parachute. And videos would show on the parachute. Because it's white, it can show a video, like a screen. So you'd be in there dancing, and the video would be above your head. And that didn't last long. I guess they had mechanical issues, and it finally didn't work.
Yeah, sounds like they were experimenting with all kinds of stuff.
They were. It was just so cutting edge back then. And we had hydraulics that would drop TVs out of the ceiling. Yeah, and a floor block TV monitors would shot down. Glass tube TVs, of course. They didn't have flat screens.
Yeah.
And there'd be a TV on each side, and they had like 4 or 5 of those that would drop down out of the ceiling, and that's how you would present your video. And then, of course, we had a couple of projectors for big screens also.
I think we should get to the clip.
Yeah, let's get to the clip.
So we've got a VHS tape that he has. I'm going to play it and record it on my iPhone from the television because I don't have the cable that goes to my computer to convert it. But bear with us here, and we'll get that going.
Absolutely. Put the tape on. Yeah, now this is inside the DJ booth. I'm cutting up with some people in the booth. And there's me trying to do my version of my haircut or something. I don't know. Yeah. I look like a Guido. But I am a Guido back then. Anyway, I was having fun, and look at that.
I'm going to cut these lights off because they're glaring on the television.
Okay.
There we go. That's
all right, so this is inside that DJ booth. It was like an airplane cockpit, and I'm tossing records around and refiling them, and they didn't want us to show inside the DJ booth because they're afraid other people would copy it. There were a lot of people that were big companies that were doing different concepts back then. All right, so now you can see the club. And those neon baskets, I don't think they're lit up in this clip. But you can eventually you'll be able to see the snow on the dance floor. that fell from the ceiling, of course.
Yeah.
And we had confetti cannons also. A lot of clubs had confetti cannons. I think McFadden Ventures probably started that with all the confetti nightclubs. And everybody glamorizes the 80s, but the 80s had horrible clothes, horrible hair, cool nightclubs, but I thought everything in the 80s was just the hokiest, weirdest stuff I'd ever seen. That girl you're seeing there was considered great looking at the time, you know?
Well, there's all the snow on the ground.
Yeah, there's the snow on the aluminum dance floor.
It's in everybody's hair.
Yeah. And your drink, you'd be drinking all of a sudden, oh, I got plastic in my drink. Oh, God.
Yeah, they put a ton of money into this place.
Yeah, now you see the baskets blinking. Those are all neon.
Okay.
And I had finger controls in the DJ booth where I could flash those to the impact point. I had a light guy that did that most of the time, but I enjoyed doing it too. I'd put a record on. Hey, let me have that.
That's amazing.
And the reason the sound is so muffled is because we're inside an enclosed, like an airplane cockpit. It was the DJ booth. You know, where you see the MTV TV pyramid in the background. They had TV stack. And a big mixed crowd out there. I don't know who all lived out there back then, but it was a great crowd. I mean, they would show up every weekend. I don't know where these people came from. Obviously, hardworking people.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if somebody saw this.
This girl right here looks very 80s.
Oh, and they all do. I bet there's people out there somewhere that might see this. That go, oh, there I am! Oh my God!
So what song is this playing,
This
Jim?
is Janet Jackson's "Nasty Girl."
Okay.
A
Yeah.
lot of the songs had the same beat back then, kind of like they do now. People with mullets and permed hair. That's about all you're gonna see.
So was the spinning dance floor open at this point, or is it back?
It was up there, but I had it closed. I think I have the thing closed in front of it
Okay.
on this particular video. But all these lights you see in the ceiling, almost all of them, came from the Limelight. Probably because of Brian Rulo. I don't know who moved those and bought those from the Limelight and moved them to Spellbound.
Yeah.
But it made it pretty spectacular in there.
So this must have been the most elaborate setup you had control of in your career at this point, right?
It was, you know. And then when I got to Mako's, I tried to implement some of this without all the money that these guys had.
Mm-hmm.
And we implemented some of these things.
Okay.
We had a compressor that you hit a button and shoot confetti. I didn't do confetti. I did chrome sequins. And they would float. You'd hit the strobe lights and turn all the other lights off, and the sequins would float slowly to the ground and make it look like it was raining in the club. Hey, cover your drink. It's fixing to rain.
Very cool.
Boom. Hit that thing.
So yeah, if this is you in the video, please leave a comment and give us a shout.
Yeah, or it could be your parents. For
It
God's
could be.
sake. It could be your parents. Oh my God! Look at this guy in the middle. He's doing the S thing. Everybody did that same. Now the only cool guy dancing is the guy in the suspenders there in the middle. He would kind of strike poses and just freeze.
He's just posing.
Yeah, he just
Posting up.
posing. All these helmet hair. I called it helmet hair back then. I was like, I didn't like all those perms and stuff. God.
Look at that light show though.
It's
incredible.
amazing. It lit the whole building up. And then you have this comfortable furniture that people are sitting in.
Okay.
And a big screen on the right, another big screen on the left.
And you're still in the DJ booth, right?
No, this is from the other side of the club. The
Oh,
DJ
okay.
booth is to the left of that stage there.
I got you.
Right there.
Okay.
But it kind of gives you a good, 80s are so glamorized, and you go to an 80s party and there'll be 3 girls with their hair sticking out the side of their head and they think that's 80s fluorescent color. No, this is the 80s.
Yeah.
This is what it looked like. It was fun, but it was real tacky and, too much permed hair, real
It's like
tacky clothes.
It's like a fun club.
It was fun, but and I don't think people really knew how to dance back then. It was a lot of this. People just, that dancing didn't impress me in the 80s.
Yeah.
When you look at people with dance videos now, they're doing stuff.
Yeah.
Although these people were pretty healthy.
Right.
This guy's got his muscle shirt on. I don't know how.
Well, look, did they take him
Oh,
down?
I think they got it. I think they took him down.
Oh, for what?
Because he had a muscle shirt on.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, they're throwing him out.
Oh no.
That's staged. I think that's staged. They knew I had the camera rolling. They're like, oh, let's give him something to look at.
All right. So, well, there he is.
Yeah,
They're
he's
joking
back
with
out
him.
there.
Okay,
He's
they're
back.
joking with him.
Yeah. See, that was staged. That was all staged. They messed with him. He was like
Hilarious.
the best dancer in there. All the ladies wanted to hook up. Hook him up. Look at him. Everybody's doing that same dance.
All right.
That guy's name was Mark. He was a great bartender. Look at that. A bartender smoking a cigarette while he's making your drink. Who does that now?
Oh wow.
That went on a lot back then.
It's like, here you go. But that drink only cost $2.
Right. That's a big $2 drink, I'll tell you what.
And you said this was 86, Jim?
This is August of '86. That's
Okay.
what this was. That's the hydraulic stairs that came out of the stage. And those people
Okay.
are dancing on the stage.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to show their shoes. I thought shoes were amazing back then, but
Mm-hmm.
how do you dance in those all night long? Especially like that. I'm playing some rock. We used to call this place a rock and roll dance format.
Uh-huh.
And we did that so we could get
That's
away with this
hilarious.
kind of music. But when you put on, like, now the sound's gone away. Now if you put on like Gap Band and Lakeside, that's when people danced. I'm a bad mama jamma. She's a bad mama jamma. All those songs, all that early 80s funk music from about 1980 to about 86, that's the stuff that people liked to dance to back then. I think Caribbean Queen came out in maybe 84. This is a couple years after that. By 86, Janet Jackson was kind of ruling the charts. She had a lot of hits out there.
Yeah.
Whitney Houston was actually out.
Mhm.
How Will I Know was a big hit. And so that was the kind of stuff that people like to dance to. But
There's some stuff falling from the
yeah, that's
now,
some of the snow.
did
coming
you
down.
control that?
I did. I had a little button that would
Okay.
that would release it. You know.
Wow. What a gig.
And so, yeah, there's the screen. Now
Okay.
behind that is the revolving dance floor. And like I said, when these real douchey guys would get up there, I would speed it up as fast as it would go and hope that they fell into the aluminum dance floor and left the girls alone. But obviously I had it closed because I had done that too many times. I was probably in trouble for overdoing the spinning dance floor.
That's wild.
And so those lights, like I said, all came from the Limelight. And here's something that I would like to know about the Limelight. If any of you guys ever went to the Limelight in the 70s, I was only 18 or 19. I barely remember it.
Yeah.
So in the beginning of the Limelights, the big rumor is they had animals underneath the dance floor. Big cats is what I was told. But I never actually saw that. I went to the Limelight many times, danced on the speakers, but I never saw. They said it didn't last very long. The ASPCA had a fit. The poor animals with strobe lights and several hundred feet above their head, probably just completely lost their
Yeah, I mean,
mind.
I can't believe they went to that length.
Yeah, that was kind of cruel if you ask me. But I don't know if that's fact or fiction. So somebody out there is going to know. They're going to write in the comments. They're going to say, "Hey man, I was there one night and I saw a tiger under." The rumor was there was tigers and cougars and stuff underneath the floor. I hope that's not true, but it could be.
Yeah.
And the only cougars I ever saw in there were the ones after me when I was 19. But anyway, and so transitioning into animal stories at clubs.
Okay.
This is bizarre. I worked at a place on Peachtree Street down in Atlanta, heart of Buckhead. This is probably 83, 84.
Okay.
And it was called Thrills. It was owned by the same people that owned Confetti, and they owned a lot of nightclub concepts throughout the nation. They were just absolutely brilliant at almost everything they did. They had these great DJs, and I learned a ton about what I know about music from working for McFadden. I didn't work there a long time, but anyway, one night they had a promotion. They didn't tell me about this promotion. I found out about it when I got to work. I bought a brand new Fiero. Yes, I bought a Fiero. I never had problems with mine. Lots of other people did. That's a whole other subject. So I pulled my Fiero in. I had my own parking space. What a great thing.
Yeah.
DJ parking. I'm special. So I tried to pull in my parking space, and there's a tractor trailer rig parked on 3 or 4 spaces. I'm like, what in the world is this guy doing? He said, does he realize he's at a popular nightclub? And so it's a big tractor trailer rig. So I get up on the back. I hear something pounding inside of this trailer. Boom, 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 boom. Couldn't figure out what that was. So my curiosity was killing me. I got up on the back thing and looked in, and there were 3 or 4 kangaroos in that thing.
Wow.
Taller than I am. I'm all of 5'5", whatever. These things were taller than me, and I just thought, what in the world? And I got in the club, and they were doing a promotion with these kangaroos. They had built a big boxing ring, and they were going to let people, the public, box these kangaroos, boxing kangaroos, man.
Oh wow!
And they had put a 20-foot screen on top of the building to show everybody driving down Peachtree. I guess to have to rear end other people. I don't know what the object was to that. So they had that projector up there.
Which club was this?
This was called Thrills.
Thrills. Okay.
And
you DJ'd there too?
83, 84-ish.
Okay, so before Spellbound.
Yeah, way before, about 3 or 4 years before.
Okay.
So anyway, you get into the boxing ring, and sure enough, a customer volunteered, and here he comes, and he's a big wrestling dude. He looks like he could handle any kind of animal or person or anything.
Wow.
He gets in there, and he puts that kangaroo in a headlock around the shoulders, and he's gonna pummel it with his other hand and hit it in the face. And the poor kangaroo, he's got gloves on, but he's got a snout thing so he won't bite the guy, I guess.
Good Lord.
And I immediately felt horrible for the poor kangaroo.
Yeah.
But the kangaroo had something for him. And he leans back on his tail and goes, "Ba-da-da-ba-da-da-ba-da-da-ba," and broke the guy's ribs, man. Broke the guy's ribs. They took him out in an ambulance. They stopped the show for a minute or two.
Really?
And I thought, well, that's it. That's the end of this. Thank God.
God.
And so, nope, here comes another guy. They got another guy. And he's been over there shadow boxing. He looks like a real boxer. He's throwing punches. He's doing everything you're supposed to do as a boxer. So he gets in there with this kangaroo, and the kangaroo messes around a little bit, but this kangaroo's got a real skinny face and a head. So he's bobbing and dodging, and the guy can't land a blow. So finally the kangaroo lets the guy wear himself out, and he leans back on his tail again and goes, "Ba-da-da-ba-da-da-ba-da-da-ba," and just knocks the guy out, bloodies his face. That's the end of the show. No more contestants after that.
Wow.
And I said, I just can't believe they thought this promotion was going to work. And they did a lot of great promotions that worked, but that one sure didn't. And
Good Lord.
that was it. The rest of the night we were, okay, let's just dance and get back to something peaceful. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, God. Kangaroo boxing.
Kangaroo boxing.
Live kangaroo boxing.
And, there's still people that do, like there's a sports bar in Johns Creek called Joe's, and they do micro wrestling, which is a blast to watch. It was just a week or so ago, and those are little people out there wrestling, and it's a show just like WWE used to be.
Okay.
But anyway, it was a lot of fun to watch that also, and so there are diversions of that, but nothing with animals anymore. Thank goodness. I just can't imagine. Nobody would do that today, and I can't believe they did it. What was that? 40 years ago? Probably 40 years ago. 41 years ago.
It's too bad that there's no audio here. I guess.
Well,
you didn't have the microphone on the camera.
When you're in a busy nightclub and things are cooking, you don't look down and see if the VU meters are kicking.
Yeah.
And so I probably just didn't have the audio on. It was on earlier.
Yeah.
And now it's not.
This is a different night, different clip. This looks early in the night.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of people there yet.
But they're doing the same step they did all night. Oh, God.
Give me the two-step.
Doing some of this, and, a lot of people did 80s dancing, and 80s dancing, it's just not like it was. I mean, it's a weird. People danced harder in the 60s than they did in the 80s. These 80s people, they were all about style and doing look good.
There's probably some clips of nightclubs in the 60s on the internet.
There
on
are.
YouTube.
There are, and I've seen some of, people like Anne Margaret, she's in these movies doing the 60s dances. But all this 80 dance, it's been glamorized, but to me it was very boring, and I'm cynical because I played every single night. I now hardly ever
That's
took a night off.
the end of the clip. Okay. So I'll press stop here.
Yeah.
Jim, I know you have a more VHS tapes over there. Is there any other footage from the 80s, or is that more 90s stuff? Or
that's probably going to be footage of Mako's.
Okay.
I have a lot of clips of Mako's, but it's going to take some time to talk about that and show a few of them and go through them and make sure they're edited for your protection.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of girls that danced on those platforms at Mako's that that some of them, oh God, I can't wait to see myself on those platforms. Others like, please don't show that. I am a very respectable person now, and I have children, and so who knows? But you might not recognize somebody. How many years ago was that? 98 to now is what?
25,
26 years.
Yeah.
So that's about 26, 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
And people, if you're 21 in the video and you're 47 now, well, you may not recognize that person, but they'll recognize themselves. And
Yeah.
so it'll be fun to see if anybody comments that actually grew up in Atlanta, went to Buckhead, went to Mako's, and Mako's was different than any place I ever played at. It was rowdy and fun and dangerous, just about every night.
Yeah, maybe before we get into Mako's, because that's what we want to do next, right?
Yeah.
Let's look through some of those tapes, and we'll see if we find any footage.
Sure.
And then we'll kind of introduce that whole club scene. That was like Buckhead's peak.
Yeah, and Mako's was kind of the anchor tenant down there. I know there were lots of other clubs. There were probably 30 clubs down there in the late 90s, and a lot of it started at East Village Grill across the street with a DJ named Chris Miller, and then it sort of evolved into Mako's across the street. Mako's was called, I think, Oxygen before it was Mako's.
Oh, wow.
And so it was there before, but everybody was playing EDM music and the early techno stuff. And so I changed a little bit of that and started playing a lot of different stuff, a lot of different kinds of music at Mako's. And what it did was it diversified our crowd. Instead of just having people that were rolling already when they came in, we started getting tourists and bridal parties. And a lot of that was from the girls on the street that were giving out beads. They hired these great looking girls to go out on the street and put beads around people's necks and invite them to Mako's.
Oh, there you go.
And that worked.
Of course, yeah.
They had a lot of great ideas there. Sometimes they would. This is before Lyft and Uber even existed, of course. And cab drivers would pull up, and if they dropped 4 people off that paid a cover charge, for God's sake, and came in, sometimes they would tip that cab driver $10 or $20. Now, if you do that for about 2 weeks, all of a sudden, every cab driver in Atlanta is dumping people at your front door all night long.
Oh, wow.
So that was a great idea, and I don't know who thought of that, but I know that I saw several big bouncer dudes, instead of breaking up fights, they're giving out $10 or $20 bills to cab drivers, and that worked back in those days. I don't know if you'd get away with that now. Uber and Lyft has kind of eliminated all that, but that was just another one of their great ideas, and I'll talk about all those ideas later.
Yeah.
I don't know if sometimes I would suggest things and they would do it immediately. The next weekend it would be implemented. So either they thought of it also at the same time I did, or maybe I put a seed in their head and it grew. And the next week, I kept saying, "Hey man, all these girls that come in here, they go straight to the bathroom and make sure that nothing got out of place between the car and coming in here." And they all want to go look in the mirror as soon as they get here. I bet girls still do that. I bet they still go into and go straight to the bathroom. And so when I saw that and mentioned that, the next weekend I come into Mako's and they put mirrors down both walls as far as you could see.
Probably made the place look a lot bigger.
It made it look a lot bigger. It doubled our light show.
Yeah.
Oh, we have lots of lights now.
That's pretty cool.
And so the girls would, instead of waiting in that long line at the women's room, they would look at themselves in those mirrors, and they would dance in those mirrors because they could see how they looked when they were dancing, and they loved that, and that changed things in there a lot. And then, of course, later on, I added the video cameras and the dance boxes, and it all just exploded from there.
So when you say video cameras, you're talking about like live video of people dancing?
I had a camera in the DJ booth that I was just experimenting with.
Okay.
I held it in my hand and DJ'd with one hand and had the camera in the other hand. And when I realized people loved seeing themselves on TV and on the big screens and would fight over spaces where I was recording from, I thought, well, I'm onto something here. And so I would record those people, and you'll see those. I have those VHS tapes. You'll see those people. Everybody wanted to be on camera. That was before everybody had a cell phone in their hand. Nobody had cell phones in their hands back then. And so people wanted to be on the screen, especially the girls. They wanted to see what they looked like on TV and on the big screens. and people driving by on each street could see a TV in the window, and they'd be like, "Well, let's go in there. What's going on in there?"
Wow.
You know, so it really helped a lot because you could see what was going on inside the club from outside of the club.
Oh, so they would broadcast that.
We had a TV facing both streets. We had a street on either side of us.
Oh, wow.
So we had TVs facing both streets, and people would walk by or they'd drive by. There was a couple of fender benders because people were looking at somebody.
Yeah.
Sometimes guys would come in and say, "Hey, where are those girls we saw on the screen a few minutes ago?" And they didn't realize I had recorded it from the week before, and I had put that in to try to attract guys in there.
Mm-hmm.
Guys want to be where the girls are, of course. In most places, depends on where you go.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so they'd come in there, and eventually those girls would show up again. But I'd get them in there by showing them something I'd recorded the week before when it was super busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think this would be a good time to dig through some of these tapes and
Yeah,
see what we can show y'all.
Let's do that. We'll come back to all this later.
Definitely.
Thanks for watching.